Residents of Shek O are evacuated as the area is cut off after landslide. Chief Executive John Lee surveys damage from rainstorm as the government vows to help. Good evening and thank you for joining us. More than 2,000 residents are stranded in Shek O in the southern part of Hong Kong Island as a result of landslides caused by heavy rainfall under the black rainstorm signal. The only road connecting the area with the rest of Hong Kong Island is blocked. By late afternoon, fire services personnel had evacuated around 200 locals via rescue vessels. Timothy Lee has our top story.
After suffering some of the heaviest rainfall during the period of the black rainstorm signal, Shek O in the southern district was cut off from the rest of Hong Kong. Landslides covered the only road connecting the area to the rest of the city, with sinkholes dotting the rest of it. Asphalt from the surface of the road plummeted off the hillside. Parts of Shek O Road were cordoned off by the police. All vehicles were asked to turn away. Those who wished to leave the area could only do so by sea. Fire services staff built a temporary pontoon bridge at Rocky Bay Beach near Shek O Beach, allowing locals to board rescue vessels. Families, including the young and old, quickly got on the boats for their departure. Around 200 were evacuated by late Saturday afternoon. This resident said he hopes more people in the city will help with the evacuation. This spokesperson from a local community organization said she believes the cleanup effort will take a month. The government announced starting from tomorrow, authorities will provide rescue vessel services for those heading to work and school. They include 2 rides in the morning and another 2 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, in nearby Big Wave Bay, some residents have had no access to electricity and the internet for days. As of 5:30 this afternoon, the first batch of Shek O residents rescued by authorities arrived at North Point. Secretary for Security Chris Tang said a cross-department task force has been set up to tackle the problems caused by the heavy rain, and the primary aim for the moment is to clear up the city streets. Earlier today, Chief Executive John Lee visited some of Shek O's hardest-hit spots along with Secretary for Transport and Logistics Lam Sai-hung. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
MTR train services in parts of the Kwun Tong line were disrupted again today, just hours after the rail giant resumed full services earlier in the morning. The operator's initial inspection shows an overhead power cable fault at Wong Tai Sin Station was to blame, and after 4 hours of repair work, the Kwun Tong line has returned to normal. Sound alerts across Wong Tai Sin MTR station at around 10 this morning, asking all passengers to leave the station immediately owing to serious incidents. This as authorities received reports that the overhead power cables in the platform of Wong Tai Sin station emitted suspected smoke and sparks of fire. Technical staff brought along tools to undertake repair work. MTR also arranged shuttle buses going between Shek Kip Mei and Choi Hung stations, but confusion ensued.
I'm also looking for the station entrance. I don't know where is the entrance. It will be a problem for us.
It's really not convenient, and then I want to go down this exit. Cannot, I go around another place.
I need to take the taxi to work, yes.
Do you find it troublesome?
Yes.
While Wong Tai Sin Station serves only as a drop-off point for MTR's free shuttle buses from Shek Kip Mei, Diamond Hill and Choi Hung stations with no pickup services, some residents told us there are several transport alternatives, including the bus terminus here.
Train service on Kwun Tong line between Choi Hung and Shek Kip Mei is suspended because...
Once again, passengers taking the Kwun Tong line train, which departed from Teo King Lang, had to get off at Choi Hung Station. Meanwhile, trains departing from Whampoa would stop at Shek Kip Mei Station. Large crowds were seen lining up for interchange buses. At around 2 p.m., the rail giant completed the temporary repair work with services along the Kwun Tong line fully resumed. The MTRC said engineering staff had replaced 3 insulators and redirected the dripping water at Wong Tai Sin Station so the overhead cables won't be affected. Wang Tai Sin Station was shuttered on Friday because of flood water under the black rainstorm warning. It was reopened on Saturday morning with some facilities still damaged, including some escalators, entry-exit gates, and some platform screen doors. The downpour during the 16-hour black rainstorm signal caused numerous landslides in the city. One of the worst ones was in Shaokei-wan, which led to water being cut off in neighboring residential areas. Zachariah reports.
Part of Yu Heng Road in Shaokei-wan on the east side of Hong Kong Island is still blocked by rocks and mud. Rocks hanging mid-slope look precarious, like they might fall at any minute. The nearby basketball court turned into sandbox. Staff from Civil Engineering and Development Department and Drainage Services Department came to investigate the situation with tools such as drones. Yu Heng Road has been blocked since the landslide took place. Police have been here to prevent citizens to get close to the site as there's potential danger for more falling. The landslide also caused water supply to be cut off in the neighborhood as pipes were broken. Residents had to get water from the temporary water tanks. Ms. Ko, a resident of Yutong Estate, said she tried to minimize the water usage of her household by eating out and taking showers at friends' places. Sakura Ip, TVB News.
The government said it will deploy over 10,000 civil servants to assist residents in a post-rainstorm cleanup effort. This as Chief Executive John Lee continued to visit areas affected during the period when the black rainstorm signal was issued. Authorities noted they will do their utmost to assist affected residents and help them register for relevant government financial assistance schemes. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Chief Executive John Lee made his way to Fanling's Mameha village this morning. The area experienced serious flooding over the course of the black rainstorm signal. Accompanied by Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs Alice Mack, the CE inspected the cleanup process. Government Quick Response Unit personnel could be seen on site clearing the fallen trees and branches covering the village ground. Lee later visited the people who sought shelter at the Lun Wo Hui Community Hall during the heavy shower. The Home and Youth Affairs Bureau noted it has deployed up to 250 civil servants in the North District to offer assistance to locals in Fanling. The Bureau's chief, Alice Mack, said as many residents have returned to their homes after the water receded, authorities must tackle the debris problem to avoid future flooding. She added both the Home Affairs and Social Welfare departments have staff members assisting affected residents register for relevant government support schemes. Secretary for the Civil Service Ingrid Yeung estimated that the number of government personnel needed for the cleanup effort will exceed numbers after Super Typhoon Sela. Relevant departments responsible for the task will be deployed to clean up sites in several shifts, with each shift consisting of up to 10,000 people. She said the target is to enable people to go to schools and to work normally by Monday. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
And among the casualties of the severe rainstorm on Thursday and Friday were properties, including cars. The Hong Kong Federation of Insurers said it might be difficult for some car owners to seek compensation for damage from flooding. And the group said only 37% of cars in Hong Kong have purchased the comprehensive car insurance policies. And only with the comprehensive auto policy can damage of cars related to severe weather conditions, including flooding, would be covered. Under Hong Kong laws, vehicles are only required to have the third-party risk insurance policies to be driven on roads. While the association said it's hard to estimate the total amount of claims for water damage this time. In the aftermath of Typhoon Mangkhut back in 2018, the property damage incurred some $2.9 billion of claims. Still ahead, agreement is reached over joint G20 summit declarations in India. And U.S. prison officer blamed for role in prisoner escape is fired. Welcome back. The Group of 20 summit opened in New Delhi in India today, with global leaders expecting a tough 2 days in trying to agree on a number of issues, including the Russia-Ukraine war and global economic challenges. After welcoming the African Union into the fold, the G20 leaders released a number of joint declarations. Nasty Karim has more.
The Group of 20 or G20 summit kicked off in New Delhi, India today, with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inviting the African Union to take a permanent seat on the table. That was the easy part. The hard part came later when the G20 leaders tried to arrive at some sort of agreement on the global geopolitical situation, specifically the Russia-Ukraine war. Before the summit, this topic was left blank on the 38-page draft circulated to all members. The other 75 paragraphs on the draft, however, were agreed upon. It's believed that the US and its allies want the bloc to condemn Russia's invasion, while others want to focus on more broader economic issues. The ultimate goal is to release a leaders' declaration at the end of the summit, but the West's fears were that its views on the war would likely be blocked by Russia, represented by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. In the end, there was some sort of consensus, even though one of the official declarations was that different views were held. They agreed that the use or threat of use of nuclear weapons during the war was inadmissible, as well as asked Russia and Ukraine to ensure immediate and unimpeded deliveries of grain to the world. US President Joe Biden is likely to press for greater climate action, with the G20 nations accounting for 80% of global emissions. Modi is seeking to enhance India's status as a major power, welcoming the African Union to the bloc and saying its membership is on par with that of the European Union. The absence of President Xi Jinping, who sent Premier Li Qiang instead, rules out a much-anticipated meeting with Biden amid challenging ties between the two global powers. Still, the West is heavily represented, with Biden joined by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, French President Emmanuel Macron, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, while Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman and Japan's Fumio Kishida are also in New Delhi. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
China's Consumer Price Index, or CPI, edged up 0.1% in August compared with 1 year earlier. As a main gauge of inflation, one analyst said the rise shows that the CPI is bouncing back and further growth is expected as major holidays approach. The CPI in urban areas posted a year-on-year growth of 0.2%, while that in rural areas dropped 0.2%. Donald Trump received a boost to his presidential campaign, with South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem endorsing the former president.
The only person in the race that I trust to do what needs to be done on these issues is President Trump.
Kristi, I'm truly honored to receive your endorsement. Very much so. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kristi. Thank you very much. It's a great honor.
A rising star in the party, Noem has long been mentioned as a possible running mate for Trump should he win the nomination, with the first nominating contest in Iowa still months away. Only a handful of Republican governors have officially endorsed candidates. In the U.S., hundreds of law enforcement personnel have been mobilized in an attempt to capture a prisoner who escaped jail by acrobatically climbing up a wall. The prison officer who was meant to observe the movements of the prisoner has been fired. NBC News has the story.
Tonight, the prison officer who was on duty in the observation tower at the time of Danilo Cavalcante's escape has been fired. A Chester County spokesperson confirming to NBC News the officer, whose name has not been released, was an 18-year veteran of the Chester County Prison and was terminated yesterday. At issue, according to the spokesperson, the officer had a cell phone in the tower, a violation of the prison's policy. Earlier this week, officials detailed how the officer failed to observe or report Cavalcante's escape from the prison, which went undetected for nearly a full hour.
My best estimate is he was within that perimeter.
The area for the search shifting yet again after two more sightings, one Wednesday night, one yesterday at noon, both around Longwood Gardens.
Many of our operations are taking place in that area right now.
This map inside the Hunts Command Center showing the 8 square miles where a massive mobilization of law enforcement is tracking the 5-foot escaped inmate, believed to be hiding in this densely wooded area, the same area where he was captured on a trail camera earlier this week. It's a tactic Cavalcante's used before, following a murder in Brazil that he's still wanted for. Pennsylvania authorities saying after that crime, he hid out in the jungle in his native country before fleeing to the U.S.
After the crime that he committed down there, he did something very similar to this in the jungle down there. So it's not surprising to me that he's able to last out there for a little while.
Among the multiple agencies attempting to flush Cavalcante out into the open, the U.S. Marshals confident they will capture him.
We're essentially playing a game of tactical hide-and-go-seek. We're looking for a very dangerous individual.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.